The second thing I have, Mr. Speaker, is a House resolution that I'd like to pass up and leave open on the desk for signatures. But I'd like to say a little bit about the resolution and the person that we're doing it for. I'm asked a lot, what is it that I like to do best in the House of Representatives or as an elected official? And my answer always is, I like the committee meetings, because that's where you actually get to exchange ideas with other people who are different than you. That's where you learn something about yourself. And that's also where good, productive things come out of listening to people give their sides of a story. I remember being asked, well, what was the best one that you've done? And I've got to say that without a doubt, since I've been here the number of years, the best committee meeting that I've been to that a person has something to say was a young man named Zachary Quinn. Now, Zach was a young person. He was here when we were talking about home care. He was here, I don't think he was here as a witness at first, but if you know anything about finance, I always ask people, do we have any more witnesses? And this young man named Zach, I didn't know him at the time, he said, oh, Mr. Chairman, I have something to say. And I thought to myself, well, who is this kid now that's got something to say, knowing that we run a pretty tight ship down below? And he was at the desk already. He was in a wheelchair. He couldn't move around as freely as he wanted to. And he said to me, I'm nervous. And I said to him, I'm nervous too, because I had no idea what Zach was going to say. But over the next 3 minutes and 25 seconds, Zach told not only the story of his life, but he told the story of the lives of a lot of people like us. He kept referring to a person named Charlie, whom I did not know at the time. And he said, Charlie, I have a fair amount to say. And I thought, well, here we go. We'll be here for another 2 or 3 hours, because he knew that usually it's a minute or two. But he was thanking the aides in his life that had given him the best quality of life that he could have, the home care aides. He said to me, and I quote, he said, you know, my mom tried to do it all. She's a nurse. He said, but she can't do all of taking care of me by herself. And he said, you know, as I get older in life, I don't want her to have to do this a lot anymore. This is a young man who was growner than any of us who were there. He said, you know, I'm embarrassed because all of his friends could do a lot of the things that Zach couldn't do. And that's where he wanted to be, at home with his friends. And I think the most poignant thing that he said to me was that he said, you know, Chairman, I'm stuck in a situation that's not going to get better. But I want you to know I feel good about what everyone is doing for me, and I'd like for you guys to make sure you do this for others also. He said, you know, things like that we take for granted, going to the bathroom, taking a shower, eating, the medical treatments that he had to have. In many cases, he couldn't do those things by himself, but he knew what had to be done. He wanted to get out into his community and just have fun as he had done before he got sick. That taught me a lot that night, in the 3 minutes and 25 seconds, that all of us, every single person in this room, will at some time in your life not be able to do physically what you could do at other times. But imagine being, 20, 21 years old, and you couldn't do that anymore. But he did it with grace, he did it with dignity, and it changed my mind about what I was looking at. Zach is an example of a person who physically, he couldn't do a lot of things, but mentally, he was there. And he was working us with his mind. So just think about that. You're all healthy looking now, most of us are, but there will come a time in our lives that we will be like Zach in the sense that we will need people to do other things for us or help us get done. So I learned a lot that night, and I went back and watched the tape, and I actually cried because Zach had taught me so much about myself. He had taught me so much about caring for others, and he had taught me so much about being honest about what he was going through in life that we might go through in life, but you can overcome that. Well, unfortunately, Zach is no longer with us, but his spirit is still here. I can feel it as I talk now. And in fact, the guests that I'm going to introduce were in my office, and we talked about not just Zach, but we talked about how he influenced them and how they exponentially influenced others. So up in the balcony near where the clock is, we have some of Zach's family members, and I had a great time talking to them. They are very smart people. Some of them want to go into politics, so be careful. You may have some competition coming around. But there's Leanne Quinn, Zach's mom. If you would stand up, there you go. We'll hold our applause until the end. And Michael Quinn, there's Mike. He's great. Allison, a sister, there's Allison. Samantha, okay. Jason, the uncle, okay, and then Mike, the grandfather, I'll mention him anyway. Yeah, and we have as a special guest, Ashley Sadler, who's Director of Government Affairs for the Bayada Home Health Care. You know, we do a lot of good things in this chamber, but helping other people, I think, is probably the most important thing that we do, because that is what touches our citizens. So I'm glad that they're up in the audience. I know where Zach got his spunk from them, because I didn't really have to say a word. They kept the conversation going, and I'm serious, a couple of them want to go into politics, so you better find out where they live, because they're really good about it. But if you would stand up, please, and take a bow for us, the Sadler family. Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've had the pleasure of meeting with the family in your office before session, and I commend them for what they have done, what they continue to do, their advocacy, and quite frankly, their strength. Thank you all, and God bless you.